Welcome back to Winners and Losers for the 2019-20 season. Buzzing, the transfer window is out and
Slam shut.
Football is in. How much have a good weekend?
I had a spiffing weekend, thank you very much. The Football Social back underway, 300,000 views overnight, baby. Come on, the views. John O'Shea also featuring on the show. Big gentle giant, John.
Yes.
Lovely bloke.
What a player.
Hopefully not the last time we see him on the Football Social sofa. Talking of socials, Saturday Social, your brand spanking new show on television. Well done,
on
Josie.
TV.
Debuting.
Yeah,
How did it feel?
Not too bad, mate. A little bit nervous under the lights, but trying to get YouTubers onto television as much as possible. 40-year-olds that says YouTubers shouldn't be on TV. We're here to take over, not take part.
Yeah, you heard. They're definitely all watching right now, aren't they? What else? We've got the Extra Time podcast. We did our season preview. That is back. We're going to do 19 episodes over the course of 38 match weeks. So alternating it. Just want to establish that now so you don't have a go at us when it doesn't come out on a Sunday. Of course, the game's gone mad. We'll also be featuring midweek, so you get a podcast fix, won't you? And Premier League Daily, baby.
Yes.
I mean, we announced it on Friday. The trailer came out. Go and watch that. It will do a better job explaining the channel than we're about to do now. However, we're the first fan-led channel on YouTube with actual access, lawful access, to Premier League rights.
Get in there. Absolutely buzzing. And also, the Fantasy League is back. If you want to take part, you still can. The pin is on screen now. It's T1TBMO. This week's winner was Jamie Hurd, 118 points and big performances from Dunk, Sterling, Rashford and big Mo Salah. Might well have triple captained or at least captained Mo Salah.
Not a big fan of the triple captain feature. Reeks of trying too hard.
That's why we play the draft. But anyway, talking of Salah, Liverpool are the first winners. This one was submitted by Room Cobra. Good start for the Reds.
Yeah, they got off to a perfect start, didn't they? 4-1 against Norwich at Anfield on Friday night. We were in the office. We witnessed Timu Pukki bagging a fine goal, a crisp finish past Adrian. Joseph left eating his words.
One of his 5
The victory was Jurgen Klopp's 10th in a row. So very much sustaining that excellent form that saw them generate 97 points last term. It also marked the first time in Liverpool's history, get this, where they've won on the opening day, back-to-back 4-0 victories. So obviously thumped West Ham last year, didn't they?
The whipping boys.
West Ham get thumped every opening fixture because they're pathetic. But despite being up 4-0 at half-time, the hosts were actually outshot for the first time in a long time, 7-6 by the visitors, showing a bit of a soft centre at the base of midfield. Van Dijk not happy on a lot of occasions, not keeping a very disciplined line, were they? The Dutchman visibly annoyed, but I'm sure that will come with time. They weren't exactly watertight pre-season, it's got to be said. But the result never really looked in doubt after Grant Hanley, poor old Grant, Phil Jones's replacement at Blackburn, scored a calamitous OG, and the camera cut away for what felt like about 15 minutes with his head in his hands. There's a lot of head. Who's just got a bigger head, Hanley or Maguire?
Definitely Maguire. Monster.
Mo Salah then scored. The Egyptian King has now scored on the opening day, in the last 3 seasons. All the Premier League seasons he's competed in since joining Liverpool. Nevertheless, Klopp was very complimentary of Falk's men. Let's have a listen to what the big German's got to say.
They have really good, they have really interesting young players, I have to say, on pretty much all positions. So I liked a lot what I saw of Norwich. But at the end, you have to deal with it, and in these different situations. And usually, a team is more impressed by a 4-0. They were not too much, and that's all respect for them. And if they play like this, and if we can keep that, then they have a good future, I have to say.
Yeah, I get what Klopp is kind of saying there, but as good as Norwich were going forward, I still think they look a little bit dodgy at the back. Jose Mourinho did a really good bit on Sky Sports after the Manchester United game, analysing Norwich and basically saying they're not compact enough. And I think Jamie Carragher agreed with him that he said that he knew that Norwich were going to concede 4 or 5 within the first 10 minutes, given how they were defending. So they do play nice attacking football, but at the back, maybe a little bit poor, given that Liverpool fired off 15 shots against them in 90 minutes. That can't be happening away at Liverpool. Congratulations to Timu Pukki though. I've obviously battered him all pre-season. He turns up, first game, away at Anfield, and bags. I'm still unconvinced he's going to get 10 goals this season, but...
I mean, 10 is a big ask.
It's a good start, and he is a notoriously tidy finisher. In fact, for the last 8 seasons in a row, he has scored with his first shot on target in that campaign, which is a very impressive feat, and just... I don't really know how that's happened. At the other end, though, Mo Salah obviously stepping up, a goal and an assist, created 3 chances. Firmino got yet another assist, but man of the match, arguably, I think Virgil van Dijk, 8 tackles and interceptions, which for a centre-back is a worryingly high amount that he's stepping out of the line that much. 100% tackle success, obviously 5 aerial duels won, and of course, got a goal, didn't he? A quick shout out to Fabinho too, though. 10 tackles and interceptions in the middle of the park, which is a huge amount, a scary amount, and I think just shows how good Norwich can be going forward. They are quite an exciting team to watch, and I think they're going to turn over a lot of middling teams, Norwich, this season. Nevertheless, Liverpool come away 3 points, make it look comfortable. What Klopp will be worried about is how many chances Norwich created and how many shots they got off. He'll improve on that. Nevertheless, Liverpool, first winners.
Before we move on to our first loser, then, if you don't want to be a loser, then subscribe to Football Daily by clicking the button as displayed on screen now and turning on notification bells so you don't miss another bloody episode of Winners and Losers all season long. Joseph, who are our first losers of the 1920 campaign?
Well, obviously, it's West Ham. This one was submitted by LFC Talkson because West Ham, as they always do, get pumped on the opening weekend. This time it was a humiliation, 5-0 at home against Manchester City. Of course, this follows 2 4-0 losses on the last opening days of the season against Liverpool in 2018 and Man United in 2017. I actually didn't think West Ham were awful.
No, but not in the first half.
But Man City are so clinical. Gabriel Jesus, of course, opening the scoring, and then Raheem Sterling just doing what he does best and getting goals, doubling the advantage. Then VAR took centre stage, didn't it? A couple of incidents, obviously the penalty, the offside goal coming down from his shoulder. Do you think they're all correct?
Yeah, I actually thought it worked out pretty bloody well. It was a good bit of PR for VAR, wasn't it? All the acronyms, because I would have, by eye shot, disallowed the Raheem Sterling goal when he raced through, but allowed the prior finish. So it's a good job I'm not referee. It's a good job that the technology is in use, and I got to say they were sort of very timely with it as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the people that were moaning about the penalty retake, that was spot on. Declan Rice cleared the ball, and that was the reason it was retaken. If he hadn't cleared the ball, then it wouldn't have been retaken.
Yeah, for referee spots there, everyone's saying, bloody well done, he's got eyes on the back of his head.
Absolutely nailed on. I think the game kind of got away from West Ham towards the back end when they started chasing it. Obviously, 3 goals in the final 15 minutes. But let's talk about Sebastian Haller quickly. I thought he was quietly effective despite not getting a goal. 2 aerial duels won, 90% pass accuracy, 4 tackles won. Not a bad defensive forward performance. West Ham fans will just be hoping he gets some decent service, because when Pablo Fornals came on, struggled a little bit to adapt to the speed of the Premier League, and that's being kind. Maybe, though, it was down to some of Man City's dirtier aspects. Pellegrini, after the game, obviously very vocal about the tactical fouls. Give this a listen.
I think that playing well in the first half, we didn't create too many chances because all were offensive way of attacking. We always cut with a foul. You review the statistics, they had 13 fouls, we commit 5 fouls. But once again, as I repeat, I don't think that just the reason why we lose 5-0.
So Pellegrini there joining a long list of managers who have aimed that accusation squarely at Guardiola's men, but they will not care, will they? They're picking up where they left off, and that is top of the league, baby. And got to be said, not surprised in the slightest, they routinely decimate West Ham. So in the last 8 fixtures against them, they've generated an aggregate of 28-4. They've scored 22 goals at the London Stadium. It's absolutely sickening. West Ham fans might as well not turn up to the next game featuring the Citizens. They were extremely clinical in this game. It probably didn't deserve to be quite as extensive, the scoreline, of City's favour as it was. XG putting it at 3.2 to West Ham's 1.1. And City scoring with 5 of their 9 shots on target. Sterling will take a lot of the plaudits for that. So 3 goals from 4 shots on goal, 2 dribbles, only dispossessed once, just really lean in attack again, just not giving up anything. And special mention goes to Riyad Mahrez, so fresh from winning the AFCON. Any sort of worries about him being fatigued, put to the sword. He set up 2 goals, completed 2 dribbles, made 4 tackles. No one made more, actually. Good defensive contribution from him. That was definitely not the Riyad Mahrez that we saw at Leicester City.
Especially given Leroy Sané's injury. He's probably thinking this is my time now.
Picking up the mantle for sure. 83% pass accuracy, like you said. Seizing his opportunity. But both teams have significantly harder fixtures next week. So West Ham travel to Brighton. Graham Potter's regime underway. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Went very well, didn't it, the first game of the campaign. While City host Spurs. What an absolute banger that'll be. Let's move on to our last winner.
Moving on to our second winners. I'm a happy boy. Obviously, Manchester United to Mishba Hamster.
Sickening, really, isn't it? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men winning Battle of the Legends I have down here on your section of the script, which sounds like an episode of Game of Thrones. Frank Lampard, of course, succumbing to a 4-0 defeat by OGS. Although the scoreline was very flattering. Actually had it down as 3-1 in United's favour. That includes the penalty. And the result subsequently leaves Chelsea in the relegation zone for the first time since September 30th, 2000.
Oh dear.
So safe to say they've not really been on the receiving end of an ass-whooping like this on match day 1 in quite some time. But they actually started the game in very positive fashion, hitting the post through Tammy Abraham. That was almost from outside the box as well. Very uncharacteristic from Tammy. And Emerson, in fact. And Barkley forced a good save from David De Gea, didn't he? Before his performance went completely
off a cliff.
Awire. Yeah. In total, David De Gea made 7 saves, the most of any goalkeeper this weekend, as Chelsea took a total of 17 shots and had 56% possession. But defensively, they were a total mess. Fullback miles away from his centre-half. The centre-halves crossing each other's swords time and time again. And it's got to be said, Rudiger's probably going to come in for Kurt Zouma, Joseph. Not really seizing his opportunity, despite having a great end to the season at Everton. They conceded very, very few goals, you know, with him at the heart of the defence. But it looked like he could drive a bloody Boeing 747 through there. And it didn't help when Pogba was just in such fine fettle, did it? That ball, the fade on it, the backspin, absolutely disgusting.
It took a while, didn't it? He took a while to grow into the game.
Yeah, and he was a little bit wasteful, and he was losing the ball at very inopportune times, quite deep in United's half.
Stop trying to do roulettes.
But United are going to be so dangerous on the counter this season. You've just got Martial and Rashford obviously interchanging pace in abundance, and when Pogba's creating 4 chances from deep, chances are, you know, if your team commits, you're going to be punished for it. Half-time, the game was still on a knife edge, and then some substitutions were made. Chelsea didn't really come out in the second half. And Frank wasn't a happy bunny, was it?
Probably poor decisions in the final third a couple of times when we should be able to get shots away and score goals. At half-time, we should be in the lead. Again, early in the second half, I didn't mind it. And then all of a sudden, second and third goal, 2 mistakes. And it's much easier for them to play at 3-0 up. At 1-0 up, we were the better team. But I can't stand here and look happy with that because it's 4-0 when it's 3 points.
Yeah, in the second half, I think Man United just got rid of the nerves, became a lot more organised. Solskjaer dropped the midfield a little bit deeper, and players like Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka really found their feet. I thought Maguire was fantastic on the night, obviously taking home the Man of the Match award, despite the fact Aaron Wan-Bissaka was probably better. Aaron Wan-Bissaka put in like 9 tackles and interceptions, an absolute beast of a performance, was everywhere first half. Admittedly though, Maguire, I think he put in the most blocks, most interceptions, most clearances, 0 fouls, 0 times dribbled past. Just a gargantuan. Felt sorry for Tammy really. Like, Tammy up against Maguire was a mismatch. Tammy was getting thrown around like a rag doll. Yeah. And Maguire can just do that to you because of his sheer physicality. And at the other end of the pitch, when you've got Martial and Rashford, as poor as the midfield was, and it definitely was, huge holes in that first half, they just are so explosive. We're going to struggle, I think. We'll struggle more against teams that just sit in a deep block, trying to unpick them, than we will countering against strong teams, which is where Rashford and Martial are at their most dangerous, because both of them took 4 shots on the day, the most of any player in the league except for Harry Kane, who of course took 8 on the weekend. which is a scary prospect. He could be getting back into form. And then you've got players like Daniel James to come off the bench. Brilliant moment for Daniel James scoring.
Moment.
Everybody, I think even the neutrals and rival fans must be delighted for James scoring on his debut after his dad passed away.
Outpouring of emotion, wasn't there?
Yeah,
just Scott McTominay's been looking after him. He was cradling him in the celebration. It was just, like you said, as a sort of someone with a vested interest in the game, it's lovely to see.
Yeah, just brilliant. And I think Man United are going to have tougher tests than Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, this Chelsea team is bang average. They do not have a goal scorer in it. And the first 45 was really problematic. The midfield was like parting of the Red Sea at times, but still positive signs for Manchester United. And to be honest with you, couldn't have asked for much more than a 4-0 win. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, after the game, very happy as well with his new signing.
We've signed 3 fantastic boys, 3 fantastic players, personalities, and we're delighted with that. With them, Dan came on in today and scored. Great impact he's made, and we've just got to keep on playing our football, and let's see where it takes us.
Our last losers come from the Great Mole, and it was a great performance from Brighton, who down Watford, the Hornets, rounding off the show.
Yes, of course, they finished 11th last season, their highest finish since 1983, but got slapped about by Graham Potter and the Brighton boys. Really good to see Graham Potter in the Premier League, bringing some revolution, well, not revolutionary, but really changing Brighton's fortunes.
Got a master's in leadership.
I think he's got 2 degrees, actually. I think he might have one in business and sports science or something like that. But he's a very intelligent man, obviously, on and off the pitch, because they won 3-0, didn't they? Not that impressed by Watford's summer business either. I think they did well to keep the likes of Doucouré, but Danny Welbeck's a bit of a meh of a signing, isn't he? Like, it's an okay move, nothing impressive. Like Ismail Assar, I think that's a good move.
Same.
But Craig Dawson, also a bit of a meh signing. He was okay on the weekend.
He's all right.
3 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 clearances, but really, really impressive from the Seagulls. 0.9 XG. So they did convert chances well, but Watford just 0.7. So maybe a little bit closer than the scoreline suggested, but Brighton were the better team really throughout. They didn't get off to a great start though. Doucouré struck it in his own net straight away. Not a good finish. Loads of own goals this weekend, and I think this was probably second best behind Grant Hanley, whose finish was just remarkable. He's now the 3rd Watford player to score 2 or more own goals in the Premier League. If you can name the other 2, let us know in the comments below. We'll give you a shout out on Twitter. But overall, Javi Gracia's side sort of struggled, and I think after the game, he admitted as much.
Yeah, I think today we don't have excuses, no excuses. I think they played better, they deserved this result, and they got these 3 points.
Yes, a few very hairy moments for Brighton in that opening 45. Had Dunk not put in a few last-ditch tackles, it could have been a very different story, but very positive in the second half. And Potter made some very brave substitutions. And that's what impressed me most about Brighton in this game. So last term, they were averaging around 44% possession under Chris Hughton. In this game, a noticeable upturn to 52%, which suggests the players have got the message pre-season quite clearly, and they're exacting Potter's methods very, very quickly, aren't they? It's almost sort of a Puel transitioning to Rodgers sort of vibe under Leicester. Played 70-odd passes more than they averaged as well last term. And unlike Dawson's pretty unpleasant debut, Neil Maupay enjoyed his first taste in English football, you know, quite emphatically, didn't he? Netting the 3rd and final goal 13 minutes after coming on as a substitute. He is a player that we thought would make the transition pretty quickly. As a result, he became the 13th Frenchman to score on his Premier League debut, and Andone, who only managed 870 minutes last term under Hughton, scored 60 seconds after coming on, didn't he? So, well done to him. And Glenn Murray, interesting to see that he didn't fare all that well in this game. So 0 shots, only won 2 aerial duels, was averaging around 5 last term, which does sort of intimate that they were playing a much more direct brand of football last term. And he might be a victim of them becoming more pass-oriented. And it might be time to pass the baton on at 35 years of age, who knows. Graham Potter has now won as many Premier League games as a manager as he did in 8 appearances as a player in the competition. What a stat we have there for you to round off the show. Where do you guys see Brighton finish? Are they going to be one of the Premier League surprise packages of the 1920 season? Let us know in the comments below. That's all we've got time for on the show, Joseph.
Nice.
What else is there to watch, in football daily land, over the last 2 days?
Well, if you haven't already, go back and watch Sunday Vibes. Of course, we did our Premier League predictions over on ERU. You've got a Stat Wars. I believe the League 3 kicked off at the weekend, so go and watch that as well. But yeah, either way, first winners and losers out the way of the 2019-20 campaign.
Lovely, jubbly. Bye.